Hello, my name is Stephen Taylor, and I'm here to show you off my game AutoHeroes, which is an Android prototype game. AutoHeroes, as in an overall top-down overview, is a game where the player summons heroes, and then heroes attack automatically with values, and then the player can just update them values with a currency and leave the game to play itself. So I really try to entice a mid-core experience. I really tried to make it so the player don't have to invest too much time, but can still play the game. So in the game, as you can see, the player has like a hub interface UI, and from that they can interact with certain elements. So these buttons down here, summon. This summon will bring up a hero, and now there's 3 heroes that I've made in this prototype, and it's random at which they spawn. I wanted to give it a bit, try to see what I could do with the system, how I can randomize it, use certain arrays and lists, see what I can do. This gold reads off of that random hero for how much they're worth, and the gold actually reads the arrays as well, so it increases in value every time you summon a hero. So you can't just spam endless heroes. Also, you can interact with things like levels, so there's a bunch of variables I put behind the scene, and I will just find them for you. Unit script, there we go. And these variables here update on level up. So you get a certain amount of level up, and I've timed it. I've timed that by the scaling. I have a value for scaling, and it will make the player feel stronger. But this derives off of gold as well, so it's always checking for this gold value here, which I've used a singleton for, but it's a design pattern which I'll get into later. So getting into the stage, it spawns a random enemy, and these enemies are basically the same as heroes. They have their own variables, and they fight and attack attack just as the heroes do, and their damage scales according to the stage number up here. So each time an enemy dies, the stage number increases. They get stronger when they spawn. Gold is also derived from enemies. So on an instance an enemy dies, gold increases, and that gold is times by the stage number as well. So all the elements are driving off each other. So my core game loop is of the enemies attacking, heroes attacking, and everything else is just feeding into that to make it stronger. And right here is my game loop for my stage. It's got the heroes attacking, it's got enemies attacking. You know it contains the, I guess, the core chunk. It's the vertical slice of my whole game. So for everything to come in, this is where everything would revolve around. Quite interestingly, I use certain elements, such as I use modulus to calculate speed of attacking rather than doing a turn order. I had a turn order script right here which had a lot of static variables and detecting for a lot of things, but then using modulus to attack the attacks per second was a lot more effective, I believe. So that was quite useful. Going back to the currency, I used a singleton design pattern, which allowed me to have one instance of currency, and it can't be written from anywhere else. So that currency is fed in throughout the game from multiple places. So it's added to here, but any currency in the game is reading off of this core currency, so that singleton pattern is constantly keeping that variable value, and everywhere else reads up to that. So buying heroes and leveling up heroes here, as you can see, the value of the gold is decreased. Um, so yeah. In terms of structuring the game, how I wanted to make the game to be made, I used some of the object-oriented programming core principles. So one of them, which is inheritance, which I used here for unit scripts with all these variables. And the damage algorithm as well. I used inheritance for this to get onto the enemy scripts for all their variables, to update them and level them up, and to take damage, as well as the heroes as well. The heroes have a similar one, and within these scripts I have their individual functionalities differences. But the core script would be the unit script with all and inherited, which hero script and enemy script inherits from. So that was very key to structuring my game. I also looked into other elements, such as my enemies. I was looking into finite state machines, and how to use them. and I drew a very very simple paint diagram just to show up see how my enemies work. So my enemy is the core number one, and it has different actions that can based on, so different states, should I say, based off of that. So state number two is in my enemy attacking, and that will go into that attack program, which is in my stage function. So that'll be a state of it, and it will recalculate the values and come back to the enemy, the core enemy. Number three will be them taking damage from the hero, so that'll calculate it, deduct from their health and come back. And then number four is when they die. What happens when they die? They respawn, and they will come back stronger with the values. So enemies get stronger according to this, and their values get updated. So they have three states they can that they're constantly in, and they're calculating over and over again according to these stages. So it's very useful to look at finite state means for that. I've also added some UI elements such as health bars and the floating damage text, which the hero is coding. From looking at Tracy Fullerton's uh, book on book, which is on UI elements, I believe, and player feel. On game design. It's quite important for the player to feel like they're progressing or achieving something and having values update. So I thought it would be important to include simple values like this. And yeah, this is the core slice of my game. Thank you very much for watching and having a look. I hope you can see what I can see, and then the potential of where this is to come in terms of elements such as the distance of the enemies, how much damage they take. If they're closer or further away, they would take more elements, which is why they made them randomly spawning looking. I was going to have an evolve system. These core functionality buttons, dungeons here would implement new elements in the game with item systems, and they are all different things that can add into the game, not and just that can spice it up, make things new, interesting, different game elements. But the core element is as it is, and it runs as it can, as in plan. So thank you very much for watching. Yeah, thank you.